Well, gracious greetings, Saints, Stephen family, and guests. Welcome to another edition of Living Water for Thirsty Thursday. Yeah, we've been talking about suffering or the problem with evil, and we've been walking through a few texts as well as hearing testimonies from people that have gone through various illnesses or challenges in their lives and how they've coped with those things. And we know it's difficult when things go a certain way and it causes us emotional distress or stress or pain or discomfort or anguish, any of those things. And we start to wonder and we start to question and we start to doubt. Why would God, or how did God, or what's the plan of God? Would he want this to come into my life? What did I do to deserve this? Or even if I did do something to deserve it, it seems like the punishment outweighs the crime, if you would. But nonetheless, I think over these last few weeks, we've tried to help paint a biblical picture that God is sovereign, right? God has a bigger picture in mind, and that it isn't so much about our lives as it is about his purpose and his plans. And that's not easy to deal with. It's not an easy pill to swallow, but nonetheless, when we want to have true commitment, it comes from having trust in God. And so it's really not even trying to decide if God has enough power, if God really is sovereign. I know that is an argument and people have that legit argument. But for those of us that do believe God exists and we don't question that, it's really for us to be able to have that daily capacity to trust him when it's difficult to trace what he's doing and to get out of our feelings and our emotion in what we're going through and taking it so personal. That's kind of how we are, especially nowadays. We take things so personal. And we feel like we're being picked out to be picked on. But I wanted to close this segment that we've been talking about on suffering from a passage that you may or may not have heard. It comes from John, the 9th chapter. And it's a tough story. It really is. But it should serve as a place that gives us confirmation and affirmation that God's purpose, plan, will is far bigger than ours. Chapter 9 of John, starting at verse 1, says, "And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day, because the night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground, made clay of spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation saying sent. He went his way, therefore, and washed and came seeing." That's amazing. So if you hear what was said in this text right at the beginning, Jesus is walking by. He's just in passing. He looks over and he knows that this man or young man has been blind from his birth. And back then, the context, most people believe if you were born that way, then it was some type of curse that was upon you. It could be women that are barren, people that are born blind, paralytics, whatever illness you may have had. Of course, if you had different diseases, it could be for that reason. You must have done something wrong. And so quickly, the disciples asked him, saying, Master, who is the one that sinned? Was it him or was it his parents? And Jesus answered, Neither has this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. Meaning, I just want to show you that God is a healer by this man that was born blind. What's amazing here is how the text lays out that this young man had never seen his own hand, never seen his parents, never seen a sun go up or come down, any of those things, while he was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and maybe he was at this point 14, 16, 18, low 20s. We're not sure. but it was a long time to not have sight. And it wasn't because his parents, it wasn't because of him. It was so that God, through his son, Jesus Christ, could show the disciples and the people around the power of God to heal. Man, when you talk about the problem of suffering, sometimes the problem of suffering isn't a problem. It's actually a solution. Yeah, sometimes God allows us to have our problem so that it can be someone else's solution. Wow, that is not something that I know is pleasant, but that is one way that God allows himself to be revealed or shown to others. And so remembering sometimes when I'm going through whatever I'm going through, whether it is an illness or a financial crisis or a marital crisis or parental crisis or some type of social crisis is going on, or political issues, or the wars that we have going on, and it just does not make sense, right? The math doesn't math. Things aren't adding up, and it really works on us. It's in that moment to know that this problem that I'm going through, or this problem that I'm seeing, it may be a solution for somebody else. And that moves us to this place where we really have to be more selfless than selfish. That we have to move to this place where we know God's plan is bigger than just little old me. Yeah, humility has to come on in there. And that's just one way of knowing how God operates and what God does. And so sometimes God allows us to hurt and go through things that we don't like to be help and assistance for others. Yeah, the problem with suffering. Sometimes it brings the solution. Well, I'm looking forward to next week as we embark upon a new journey. And that new journey, it really is a question. Have you ever been frustrated? Have you ever been tired? More specifically, are you currently frustrated? Are you currently tired? How do I overcome frustration and just being tired? Continue to make God proud in all you say, think, and do.